Okay, it's November the 15th. I've got most of the fiberglass off, or enough to do what I wanted to do initially. The first thing I'm going to do is get the garboards off. Then I can take the keel out. Now, after I've got these garboards out, you see I've taken all the nails out. And at the back here, where it's kind of a nebulous hole, the aft garboard plank joint is right about here. But when I put this back together, I'm going to want to have the plank solid. So what I've done is I've just got a scrap of masonite. And on the old shattered plank, it would just come out in pieces if I just tried to force it out now. So I've got a hot melt glue gun, and I've just glued this masonite onto the two sections of garboard that would have fallen apart otherwise. That way I can take the plank out in one piece, and that will give me a fairly decent pattern, or good enough to make the new garboards. Up front here, I've taken the front one out already. This is where the scarf joint is. It's just ahead of the dashboard. On here, these shims here are below the engine bed. What they do is they space the ribs off of the engine bed, and it allows screws to be put into the engine bed through the planking, and that way the screws are pulling against the shim and not trying to break the plank. Inside the stem here, see the stop water is still intact, but the back half of this is going to need some interpretation when I go to make that again. So I've always found doing these that the most important thing to get right is the keel. There's at the back part of the keel here, it stops right here, and that determines where the device is going to go. So the first thing I'm going to do after I get the garboards out, so I'll take the aft keel out, and then I'll change the stern post. And from the stern post, I'll do the stem next, and then I'll replace the keel. But that's about where I am on November the 15th. Okay, here I am again. I've got the 4 garboard planks out. Just thought I'd go over, this is a very common problem, is because it's the orientation of the grain, the stem usually is split here. Walk back in the, there's the hole of the keel. A lot of this is just fiberglass and scraps holding it together here. But as I was saying before, the most important part is getting the location of the front of the aft keel in the right spot, because that's what determines where the device goes. So what I've done is I've just screwed a couple of blocks here. So when I take this out, when I take the front out, it's all going to be just a blank hole. So what I'm going to do is I'll just use these 2 blocks when I make the new keel to make sure I get the keel lined up. I'll probably project a couple of lines here onto the planks beside it so I can trim this keel using these planks here as reference. I'll just have a straight edge here to tell me where to end the keel, and then from there the front keel will join onto here, and I'll put in my plywood fake device to make the planking and everything else fit to that. So as far as the next order of operations go, I'm going to take the keel out, and then after that I'll be replacing the stern post. So I don't have to worry too much about the first 3 rounds, because they're going to be changed. You see I haven't been too gentle taking the nails out here. But as I go up, these are the planks I'm going to want to save. And the nice thing about a boat that has never been worked on is the nails are spaced quite a ways away from the end of the plank. A lot of times, if it has had a new stern post or stem, the the planks will get shortened as they get cleaned up to fit the new stem, and there's not a lot of meat between the nail and the rabbet line. Well, that's where we are for now. It's Friday afternoon, and we'll probably get back at it next week. I thought I'd come back to the garboard planks here. I've taken them off of the boat, and you can see here how the whole section in the middle where the device hole was is missing. So what I did before I removed them is I hot glued these strips of wood on just to hold them in the correct alignment. That way I'll be able to just trace them out of the plank stock. And they'll still have the same shape.